Have you ever wanted to be emotionless? Unable to be sad, angry, surprised or happy? Sounds awesome, but really, it's childish. Sure, it would be interesting, but it's so much better to keep your emotions and rather learn to live with them than just try to erase them. We don't need, and really, we wouldn't want to be emotionless. What we need is emotional control. This is what it means to be mature. It's not about being unable to feel, but about being able to choose when to feel and when to detach. And besides, emotional numbness is just boring. So, let's get to the point. You probably know what stoicism is, and if you watch my YouTube channel regularly, you probably know what I mean by emotional awareness. Those methods are great, but here's something much simpler, which is probably very helpful or sometimes even needed for all of these methods to actually work. It's the ability to simply slow down and look at yourself critically, instead of trusting your stupid brain in response to an event. It's self-awareness. You know, when a bad thing happens, or a good thing happens, or whatever, we react emotionally. And it's our natural animalistic reaction, no matter if happy or sad. But we can counter it by using our logic. Psychology tells us that our emotions and our cognitive biases are way faster than our logical brain. That's why it's so hard to control your emotions and also to question your thoughts. But both your emotions and your immediate thoughts are not you. What defines who you actually are is your conscious logical brain, which is much slower than your initial emotions and subconscious reactions. When an event happens, what firstly arises is our subconscious reactions and emotions, and then it is up to us whether we'll decide to detach from them and use our logic, or just let them flow and make us do something we would regret. People who control their initial reactions are just very good at quickly turning on their logical brain to question their reactions. And this ability comes with practice, years of practice, because it's not about magic, but about neuroplasticity. About literally rebuilding your neural connections in the brain. You can monitor and name your emotions, which is great, or you can practice stoicism and react to life with acceptance, which is also great, but all those things require our logical brain to work first. To get really good at them, you should first simply learn to react mindfully and to not trust your initial reactions. You need self-awareness. When something happens, don't rush it, be slow. Try to not react the way you would normally react. In this state, you can logically think and act with peace, instead of giving in to your inner monkey. And if you logically enjoyed this video, don't be shy. Go and slash that subscribe button into a million pieces. A like or comment would also be nice. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Back in the day, I thought that emotional awareness is the main thing you need to control your emotions. But it's tied to self-awareness. And really, in order to actually be aware of your emotions, by that I mean be able to watch them, name them, and to accept them without judgment, you first need to get that spark of, hey, wait, hold up, I don't need to react however my brain tells me to react. If you're curious what I mean by emotional awareness, I will give you the video about it at the end of this one. It has many similarities with this one, but it talks more about emotional mastery and less about the simple, crucial ability to just slow down. If I remember right, in the video I said that by monitoring your emotions you turn on your logic, but now I think it's actually vice versa. You first turn on your logic and then you recognize your emotions. Now, of course, don't treat me as an expert or a scientist. At the moment of writing the script, I wasn't even sure if this slowing down thing is a real deal or if I just made it up based on my recent reactions to stuff. But I looked it up and don't worry, the stuff is valid. Now I know that emotional awareness is not the main thing that causes us to use our logic rather than chase emotions. It's actually self-awareness. Self-awareness is like a prerequisite to actually be emotionally aware. And so this way I also learned something new through the script. And of course, just because I talk about self-control and stuff, doesn't mean that I'm actually good at it. I also often forget and just give in to my emotions. This channel is about growth. Both your growth and my growth. And here we get to the next interesting topic. Self-awareness is not only for emotional control, but also it's one of the best methods to put anything you learn into practice. We react instinctually, and in the rush of our emotions and immediate thoughts, it is hard for us to think about anything we've learned about. That's why people have trouble applying stoicism, and possibly because of it people have trouble applying anything they've read about. We react according to our habits, and it's very hard to break the habit and think differently. And self-awareness is a powerful tool to help us actually remember about how we need to think differently. When I talked about how over the course of years, controlling one's reactions becomes easier due to neuroplasticity, well, it's also the power of habit. Habits form because of our brain forming and strengthening new connections, and therefore, when we fight against our habits, well, we literally fight against our brain. I think it's a valid example. As Christian, I see the consequences of it very often. I try to love my neighbor as I love myself, and yeah, I'm clearly getting better, but still, it's tough because of how hard it is to break out of our animalistic reactions, such as the feeling of hatred. Now, regardless of your faith, I think my next words will be valuable to you. Applying Christianity is very hard, and that's why we see so many people who claim they are Christians, but actually don't act like ones. It requires you to fight against your initial reactions, emotions, your inner hatred, and everything what makes us worse as people. But when you meet mature Christians, note that they are probably some of the strongest people you'll ever meet. Really. They fought their inner demons and they won. And also, they probably couldn't do it by themselves. As Christian, I believe that only God can bring a man to his full potential. And as I said before, here's the video about emotional awareness. It's less about slowing down and more about how to look deeply at how you feel. I think you'll like it. Thanks for your time. Growth is our duty. Bye.